In the control room, Benimaru finished explaining the situation. No way, he's really a nasty guy. This is already a problem. It was a good decision to isolate him, wasn't it? Indeed it was. I was thinking of reusing the labyrinth, but I'm afraid it might still be alive somewhere. This is what is known as the defilement idea. To put it in a simple way, she meant something like, I don't want to use a toothbrush that has fallen into the toilet bowl, no matter how well I wash it. Many people agree with this. Trainee was one of them, nodding her head in agreement with Ramers. She agreed with whatever Ramers said, so it was possible that she had a different thought, but it did not matter. Beretta prepared a glass of juice and handed it to Ramers. Ramers gulped it down and said, but you know what? Can you beat this evil dragon spawn? It was a question that really got to the heart of the matter. Benimaru was also worried about it. Although he had tried to be nice to Diablo, he thought it would be impossible with the 4 great dragon kings in Hakura. I'll have to go myself, Benimaru said. On the big screen, Hakura was cutting down evil dragon spawn. His brilliant swordsmanship is one of the best, but unfortunately not enough to destroy evil dragon spawn. Although evil dragon spawn has lost infinite regeneration since its connection with Vega was severed, ultra-speed regeneration is still present in evil dragon spawn. It has been allowed to regenerate again and again. However, Hakura is extraordinary in that he can kill an opponent who has a power disparity of more than 50 times. Benimaru felt proud of his master. However, it was obvious that Hakura could not defeat them. Now, what about the 4 great dragon kings? Euros, the red-haired beauty, bound evil dragon spawn with a flaming whip covered with searing heat. She wants to continuously inflict heat damage and burn out its cells. One can imagine the sacrifices that had to be made to get this chance. Her revealing dress did not hide her auburn skin, which was covered with unhealed wounds. A slender, handsome man sat leaning against the door. He is Zephyrus, the dragon king of the ice hell. He used to look graceful and gentle, but now he is staring at the evil dragon spawn with a piercing gaze. He looks like he has been severely damaged while trying to assist Euros in his attack. Even worse off than Zephyrus is Nodos, the heavenly thunder dragon king. Nodos, a petite young girl, tried to hold off the evil dragon spawn with her monster strength. However, her strength was too great. If the opponent had an ego, Nodos would have been no match for her. Just as Nodos was doing her best, Boreas, the evil dragon spawn, was doing his best to make it his turn. His dragon scales are shattered, but he protects Zephyrus and Nodos, who have fallen. Euro's whip of fire is broken by the sheer force of it. They are too powerful. The continued damage of the whip of flame could not exceed the recovery of the evil dragon spawn in the end. She succeeded in stopping them for a moment, but that was all. A frustrated Euros clucked her tongue in frustration, an uncharacteristic gesture for a beautiful woman, but one that was quite appropriate. Hakura took over with Euros. As Euros was definitely not strong enough and had no way to beat evil dragon spawn, she had no choice but to back down quietly. But even Hakura. Although the efforts of all the members are commendable, it was still all they could do to stop evil dragon spawn. If they had followed the original plan, they would have had no problem, but it is impossible to destroy evil dragon spawn with this group of people. It would take a force so strong that it would be able to wipe out even a single cell fragment, so that it would not be able to revive again. As Benimaru said, someone had to go to the rescue. If it was Benimaru, he would surely win. Excuse me, Mr. Deputy Commander. You have the most important mission of all, to bring back those Zegan guys left behind in the isolation level. He's right. Timing was of the essence, so they needed to act quickly in the isolation level, as soon as they defeated the evil dragon spawn here. If Benimaru is not defeated, there are few warriors left. Sae is in the middle of gathering information by sending clones to various locations. Gabble is recovering. They might have won if they were at their best, but even so, they would have had a hard time against evil dragon spawn, which has more than twice as much existence value. Even if they go out now, their chances of winning are low. The same goes for Ranga. If they were at their full strength, they could have won for sure, but now they are too exhausted by taking on Geld's burden. It was a waste of time to go out, since it was out of the question for him to use his big moves. In the meantime, Beretta came forward. Well, then, I guess I'll have to go. Ramers rejected a request. Of course not. Without Beretta-chan's help, it's impossible for me to dispose of the labyrinth by myself. It is not impossible, but it takes time. And that would give Vega a chance to recover, which would mean the mission would fail. Beretta had no choice but to do her best to help Ramers. At that moment, a man stood up. At last, it seems that it is my turn, said Charys, a brown-skinned warrior with black and red speckled hair like a burning flame. He is now more stately than ever, having fully merged with the Dragotype Yorishiro. Of course, his inner life has been enriched as well. Charys-chan. Rames's face lights up as if to say, I remember now. Rames's face lit up as if he had just remembered. I see, as Vildor-sama's assistant, I think I can trust you with this big role, said Benimaru. Benimaru nodded his head. He recognized Charys' power at a glance, and judged that he could defeat the evil dragon spawn. If Benimaru agreed, there was no opposition from anyone. Charys, who had been almost forgotten about, was now ready to go out with a bang. In the control room where Charys left. By the way, what is the existence value of Charys-chan? Well, it is 2.74 million at the moment. Although the number alone is inferior to that of evil dragon spawn, it is a measure of strength that is not inferior to the top-level players. Did you send them out without knowing, Rimuru-sama? You're a hard man, sub-commander. Don't worry, he'll be fine. Charys is the master's assistant. He's a real fighter. There's no way they can beat him. Among Rammers, it is common knowledge that existence values have a significant effect on combat ability depending on their composition. This is unquestionable, as seen in the example of this battle. There are some strange characters such as Diablo, but they are too rare to be included in the examples. They are only indicators, not all of them. Charys' abilities were used for peaceful purposes, but all of their powers could be used in battle. In a crisis such as this one, they can be used specifically for combat. In short, it depends on how you use them. The versatility of Charys is its advantage. For this reason, it seemed that Charys would win. And the prediction has not been wrong. Benimaru finally smiles with relief and prepares for the final touches. Charys opens the door to the battlefield and sees Hakuya fighting hard. Rice's Anson. Hakuya caught the fist of evil dragon spawn with his sword and swept it away. Although the fist was of mythical great power, Hakuya's sword was not shattered. It was the result of his high level of skill. And one more thing. Kurobi had trained his sword again, and it had become a legendary grade sword of the highest level. A sword made for making Shark Cloud. This is the name of Hakuya's beloved sword. Unbreakable, unbendable, supple, and unbreakable. It is soft but strong at its core, just as Hakuya had ordered. Rather than power, Hakuya chose the Shark Cloud for its sturdiness, so that he could trust it with his own life. In addition to this, Hakuya had protected the blade with his ore, and had used his great skill to prevent it from breaking, so that the blade had cut through the mythical great outer skin without chipping. That's wonderful, Charys praised. Unfortunately, that is not enough to defeat the evil dragon spawn. Zephyrus, Nodos, and Boreas, who were near the door, gave way for Charys. Euros, who is on his way to Charys, looks up at Charys with his cheeks up in the air, and bows to Charys. Euros, who admires Charys, looks happy in spite of the situation. His whose skill is maxed out after being trained by Vildor. Charys, who had walked with dignity, stood in line with Hakuya and called out to him. Hakuya Dono, let's take turns. Are you Charys? I see. I guess my turn is over. I think you've had enough, haven't you? I'm sure your unborn grandchildren will be able to see Hakuya Dono's heroism. Ha ho ho. You are a very flattering person, aren't you? I was trained by Vildor-sama. The words I was trained by Vildor-sama were filled with Charys' deepest feelings. If they have a boss who asks you to do anything and everything recklessly, you may be able to sympathize with his feelings. Beretta, who was not present at the meeting, nodded her head in agreement. Charys and her are drinking buddies and sometimes exchange their opinions or complaints. Anyway, Hakuya withdrew quietly. He had been told that he was just trying to buy time, but he sensed that the situation had changed. You don't need any help, do you? Yes. I will be enough. This is not meant to make fun of Hakuya, but purely to keep him out of it. After all, Charys' fighting style is to use super high heat to destroy the enemy. With Hakuya, Charys could not show his full potential. Therefore, he wanted him to evacuate with the Dragon Lords to a remote place. Ho ho ho. I understand. I wish you good luck. Leave it to me. I promise you victory. After this conversation, Hakuya and Euros went down to the door where the Dragon Lords were. Then, Charys confronts the evil dragon spawn. The evil dragon spawn has the upper hand in terms of power alone, but in terms of fighting ability, will they be able to? He says he doesn't have much time. I wanted to see how good they are, but I'll end this quickly. Charys declared unilaterally. The evil dragon spawn, who would not understand his words, attacks Charys as if he were an enemy. Charys kicked it lightly. Gee. The evil dragon spawn screams in anguish and surprise at the impact and unexpected result. Ignoring this, Charys charged after it. Vildor-style killing arts burning bullets. Charys' fist shot out at an invisible speed. It heats the air and turns it into bullets, creating plasma as it hits the evil dragon spawn in rapid succession. Evil dragon spawn let out a silent scream, but Charys did not care about that. While evil dragon spawn is still floating in the air, he draws a magic circle on the ground. And then, he activates. Let's finish him off with an old-fashioned technique, Dragonic Flare. The technique is completed just as the falling evil dragon spawn enters the dome. It was an evolution of Ifrit's Flare Circle, which was previously used against Rimuru and defeated. Its power is something else entirely. It has been improved upon and made more practical. The range of the inner space has been considerably narrowed down to a diameter of about 3 meters. However, as a result, the heat energy trapped inside increased proportionally. This technique is even more powerful than Benimaru's Hell Flare, and is one of the most powerful fire thermal techniques in the field of fire energy. After all, this technique does not end when it is activated. Charys, transformed into a flame, can adjust its internal temperature at will. The heat was able to be concentrated on the enemy inside, based on the lessons learned from the fight against Rimuru. There is no escape inside the ward, and Charys' heat will not disappear until it has consumed everything in its path. Oh. Evil dragon spawn is destroyed with a soul-wrenching scream. There is no resurrection, and Charys has won. Excellent. Hakuya praised Charys' unquestionable victory. No. This is exactly why I was left here, isn't it? It's only natural for us to win. Charys responded with a smile, but in his mind, he was thinking about something else. Valdor-sama definitely forgot about me, didn't he? I understand that he was happy to hear Rimuru-sama's request, but he wanted me to go with him. He was still bitter about being left behind by Valdor. If he had not been able to be of help this time, he would have sulked. The Dragon Lords, who did not know that, were also impressed by Charys' bravery. They said, amazing. Charys-sama is the best. He is a handsome man. Euros, who professes to be a fan of Charys, is impressed with her cheeks, praising Charys fiercely. She looked like a dreamy maiden in spite of her severe and beautiful appearance. We're not good enough yet, are we? It can't be helped now, we have to gain more experience. We can't lose either, can we? Even if we can't become a boss like Seijin Dono, as a Dragon Lord who protects the lowest level, we must become stronger. Boreas, Nodos, and Zephyrs, in that order, are expressing their impressions. The 4 Dragon Lords became more motivated by their frustration on this day. As a result, the difficulty level of the labyrinth will be raised even higher, but that is still a long way off.